Focus viewers, Chris Nichols here from the camera store again on a very cold day. Expect me to do a lot of jumping and shifting while I keep my toes from freezing. But it's a good day because we got the brand new Olympus OMD E-M5 Mark II. Now the E-M5, the original, was a pioneering camera for Olympus. Very popular, great retro design, and it really did carry off this sort of high-end mirrorless camera, brought into the hands of a lot of professional photographers. Well, now we got a Mark II here today. We're going to try it out and see what it can do. Now, we've already talked about how the original E-M5 really was a pioneering camera in the mirrorless industry. So what does the Mark II bring to the table? Well, we've got some exciting features here. Number one, their high-res shot. This is unique. I haven't seen it on a mirrorless camera before. So again, they're really trying to do first in the industry. The other thing we're very excited about on the Mark II, much better video capabilities. I want to test that out today as well. So join me on this frigid day. Let's go for a walk and let's take some shots. Now this high-res feature is a cool concept, but it's not necessarily a brand new concept. For example, a few other camera manufacturers have tried this as well with varying degrees of success. And in the store we do sell Hasselblad, and what Hasselblad had was a multi-shot back system. Now what they would do is they would literally have a rig built on the sensor to shift it 1 pixel up, 1 pixel down, 1 pixel left, and 1 pixel right. And what you would get is this 4 shots in one multiple exposure. Now what this did is it let you quadruple your resolution. Of course the thing is the camera couldn't move at all. You have to be on a tripod. And on the Hasselblad it was a very slow process. Now of course the E-M5 Mark II does have their latest stabilization system. Not only does that give us almost 5 stops of stabilization, but it also gives us the ability to shift the sensor. Now what Olympus is doing is kind of unique. They're actually doing half pixel shifts and 8 shots in total. We're getting tons of resolution, and actually to keep things manageable and to process them as sharp as possible, they're downsampling to about 45 megapixels. So we're getting a big file, we get the shifting, and the best part, it does it with the electronic shutter. So we're not waiting, we don't have to take 8 clicks, click, 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 click. We just get a nice quick shot, processes it fairly quickly. Let's give it a try and see what we can get for resolution. Now, of course, guys, you're going to need a good tripod. You know, I mean, it's an electronic shutter, like I say. I suppose theoretically you could handhold it if you were like on heavy sedatives or something. But otherwise, let's use one of these. That's what they're for. And, you know, just to challenge the Olympus as much as possible, I'm also going to test this against the Pentax 645Z, just in its regular shot. Now, again, Jordan and I haven't found a camera that takes better photos than the Pentax. So let's see if this can compete. It's a big challenge. I'm interested to see how it's going to go. Now, of course, the camera can't move, and really your subject matter shouldn't be moving either. I mean, we've got buildings here downtown, so we're good. You know, a lot of people are going to say, well, hey, you know, isn't this limiting? I mean, mirrorless is supposed to be portable. Why do I want to bring a tripod? But keep in mind that this is really opening up a very cool possibility. And if you're shooting a D810 or a Pentax 645Z and you're trying to maximize resolution anyways, you're going to want to be on a tripod too. So I really don't see a downside there. I'm going to take a shot. We've got a delay set so that after I touch it with my finger and let go, a second will go by, no shaking of the tripod. And it's very quick to process. Here we go. So that's it. It's taking the shots. It's saying busy. I mean, I'd say it was maybe 3 seconds, and we've got our photo there. Very cool, very easy. Okay, time to grab the Pentax 645Z, give that a try next. Alright, here we go. We're going to take a shot here. Same kind of frame. And 50 megapixels. Okay, so we just took a quick pit stop back at the store so we could take a look at the files from the Olympus E-M5 Mark II in its high-res mode and the Pentax 645Z, which is, of course, very healthy competition. Now, looking at the files here, guys, I was personally very impressed. We are certainly getting a very similar kind of resolution. Now, albeit the E-M5 Mark II does look like it's a little bit differently processed. You can see some lines and verticals. Look at the clouds here, the fog coming out of the heat exchangers. You can see how because of the multi-shot, they don't quite line up. But overall, if you've got no motion, the E-M5 Mark II gives you an amazing amount of resolution. It's no Pentax 645Z when it comes to dynamic range, but it certainly gives you an ability to do large prints and heavy cropping when you need it, as long as you got still life and a good tripod. Now the E-M5 Mark II is adding an electronic shutter as well, and this gives us some very, very nice options. Now by not using that mechanical focal plane shutter, we get rid of all noise, and so the E-M5 Mark II actually incorporates a silent mode now. We've seen this on other cameras, of course, as well, but it is great if you want to shoot weddings or discreet shooting, you don't want to make a ruckus. The other nice thing, of course, with electronic shutters is you're going to be able to push up to 16 thousandths of a second as a maximum shutter speed to get rid of any extra light, especially if you want to shoot wide open on bright days. Now the only downside, some rolling shutter, but the smaller sensor helps to control that, and of course the stabilizer will help that as well. Alright, so a lot easier to do these talks in the freezing cold when you've got warm Japanese food in your belly, so I'm going to be good for another hour. But what was great about the Japanese Noodle House, other than getting warm, was getting a chance to test some things like this stabilization system, for example. Now we've used the 3-axis stabilizer in the E-M10, and we've used the 5-axis stabilizer in the E-M1, and they both did a great job. But here's a great thing about the E-M5 Mark II. This is the first time, I think, that a manufacturer has stated 5 stops of stabilization, and I've actually agreed with that. I was able to shoot 150 mil equivalent lens here at 1/4 of a second, 5-stop reduction. And actually, with practice, I could get some sharp pictures here. So very stable, very impressive, and again, it also coincides with that high-res shooting that we just talked about. Now I also got a chance to test some high ISO performance here, and I was pleasantly surprised. You know, you look at the sensor here, it seems very similar to the Olympus flagship E-M1 sensor, 16 megapixel micro 4/3 size, but this is actually an updated sensor, and we actually found that we got better ISO performance out of the E-M5 Mark II. I'd say a stop better, and if you look here up into the 3200 and 6400 ranges, it's actually very impressive. I'd say 6400 is about usable, the limit there. It's also a brand new processor. Now it's TruePic 7, but it's an updated version of that. So all of these things are coinciding with better low light performance, and you always need that on micro 4/3 cameras. All right, now the handling of the E-M5 Mark II actually very similar to the original E-M5, which is great because it was a very nice design and very, very popular. About the same weight and feel and a very similar look. We've got some nice welcome changes here too. Rotating screen now, and of course it is touch capable, still fully weather sealed. I love the mode button locks here. I mean, that always worked well with the other Olympus bodies we've tried out. Lots more customizable function buttons as well. And the 2 dials for aperture and shutter speed are still where they were on the E-M5. It's still one of my favorite setups. Now, I am going to be honest, I never really liked Olympus menus. I'm not a big fan of their interface, but hitting the OK button in the middle, I do get my super control screen, as they call it, and it does make it very easy to change those things. So good. I like that because I do not like their menus that much. Overall, though, the camera feels great. It handles well. The weight seems to be a little bit lower, which you're going to like for balance. And, of course, we've got this brand new grip. This is the HLD 8G. Now, this new grip is nice and compact. It does give us a really good feel, and the dial's, again, in a perfect place. You can still use the old battery grip on the bottom as well below this if you want the extra power. But otherwise, it is a new and incompatible grip.
Hey guys, it's Jordan, the video guy, and after years of ignoring videographers, it looks like Olympus has finally woken up and realized that was definitely one of the weakest points in their lineup, so they've taken some steps to address it. And for starters right now, I'm talking into this microphone, which is piping right into the E-M5 Mark II that's recording me, and Chris can monitor it with his headphones now. The battery grip for the E-M5 Mark II actually supports a headphone out. It's a great idea. Keeps the body small, but gives you access to that if you need it. And they've also changed the menus a little bit. When you jump into the quick menu, you've got a really snappy access to your various compression settings and access to slow-mo and high-speed recording. It's really well thought out. So I want to mention that right now Chris is filming me on the E-M5 Mark II using the 5-axis stabilizer, just hand holding it, and you can see it does a really excellent job. I would say this is the best in-camera stabilization that we've seen. I'd even put it ahead of Sony's A7 Mark II, which really impressed me. Now, as far as the quality itself, they've done some nice things. Olympus has added 24 and 60 frames per second, so you do have the option to shoot some slow-mo or a more cinematic frame rate. But what's really nice is they've added all-eye compression, so you won't have any motion issues, which we saw a lot on all of the other Olympus cameras. So it really helps when you are going to use it handheld like this. The image isn't going to break up when you got a lot of movement in the frame. Quality is quite good. I did run into a little bit of moire, but it's a huge improvement from what we saw before on the E-M5 original, the E-M1. Big steps in the right direction. I mean, there's always more they could do. I'd love to see a flat profile, but, you know, that'll be for the E-M1 Mark II, I guess.
All right, guys, so overall, Jordan and I really did enjoy our time with the E-M5 Mark II. You know, from a design aspect, I like that what wasn't broken, they didn't try to fix. The camera handled well. Big pluses, I love the stabilization system on it. It did blow me away. It really does work as advertised. The other thing I really liked about this camera is the high-res shooting mode. You know, it might seem like a novel feature at first, but the fact is, you know, Panasonic, Olympus, Fuji, these companies don't have high-resolution sensors compared to the competition. So this is an interesting way to get around that weakness. Overall, a really, really nice decision. Now, Jordan and I also like that the E-M5 Mark II has recognized that, you know, video is not Olympus's strongest suit. And so here they've actually made good positive steps to give us better video quality. We like the new compression, we like the mic and the headphone jack additions. I mean, overall, they've done a good job there as well. You know, my only complaints, I'm not a huge fan of the menu, and that's not going to change, but adding custom function buttons, adding the super control menu, being able to change that stuff very quickly, that was a nice touch, and I did find I could navigate the camera fairly well. The only other complaint I really have is the eye sensor on the piece I find a little bit too sensitive, so I'm going to touch things on the screen, and I find then it's very easy to shut it off if I, you know, put some shadow over that eyepiece. But still, minor points. The camera handles well, it's got the same pedigree, the same ruggedness, the same kind of feel, and it's all in a great package which is easily accessible and fairly affordable. Now guys, don't forget, subscribe, check us out on Twitter and Instagram as well, and look for the new E-M5 Mark II in store soon.